So it gives me great pleasure to welcome back to Presentation Ideas, Chantal Bossé. She spoke for us last year, did a fantastic presentation. She's had a very unusual career path from biochemist to creating her own business in 2004. She is a presentation and visual communication leader, a speaker coach for TEDx participants, Microsoft PowerPoint MVP. She works with public speakers and business people, helping them master impactful presentations. She also hosts a trilingual podcaster where she and her guests share tips. And there's tons more she does, but I'll let her explain that to you. So take it away, Chantal.
Okay, my pleasure. And just to make sure that we won't be having any issues, let's just remove the video because that helps usually. And yeah, I want to talk about artificial intelligence because sometimes people think it's always with very geeky technologies, but you do have some very nice elements within PowerPoint. And maybe what I can do, I do have a handout. And you know what I'll do, Garland, is that I'll just share the link a little bit later on because right now I didn't copy the link to put in the chat box. So I'll do it afterwards. Okay, so the means of human communication have greatly evolved since the drawings of the cavemen, because afterwards we also had the art schools that were teaching mainly based on the art of public speaking. And then we had those majestic libraries with all the books. And then we had the films, which also brought those overhead projectors as a means of teaching. And afterwards, we also got the technology that took over with desktop software, projectors, Apple TV, tablets, even smartphones. With all this, why do we still have so many people talking about boring presentations and death by PowerPoint? Well, that's what I've been doing since 2004, what Garland mentioned. I tried to outsmart death by PowerPoint and annoying presentations because that's the only way we can try to help the industry. But despite all the efforts and progress that we have been made in the recent years, we still have several challenges. And three of the big challenges I see in presentation these days are that we still have very bad design at times. And we also have now more languages to tend to. A lot of corporations, organizations need to have their content in multiple languages because they're international. And we also have the will to be more accessible. Having our content accessible to people with disabilities is something that people and organizations are looking for even more these days. So what if AI could help you? And yes, AI does address some of the challenges, does help you with some of the challenges with design ideas, translation, and live subtitling. And before I start, just want to say that I'll go through some more formal content in terms of presentation, and you will have in the handout all the main sections in there, because afterwards I'll go live and just make sure that you have gone through the basic information. And then if anything goes wrong because the gods of the live demo are against me, then we'll have at least seen most of the information, even if it was static. So before we start, all the AI, or what they call connected experiences, are part of the features that you have with Office 365. But you want to make sure that you have them first. So I'll show you where to check to make sure that you will have that checkbox. When you go into your PowerPoint to File, Options, General, then you will have over here privacy settings. If it's a little bit different, don't worry, it's just because you probably have something saying intelligent services or connected services, depending on the version of Office 365 that you have. And then with this, you will have the optional connected service experiences. you need to make sure that that little checkbox is checked so they are enabled. And when you get the PDF, you'll get more information about privacy of the connected services, because I know it's a big thing for organizations. So you will get all the information in there. So as long as you have that little check mark, you're good to go. So let's start with the design ideas. Many people tell me, well, Chantal, I'm not a designer. I don't have time. I don't know. I'm always at a loss to find something that looks nice. So design ideas is in your design tab. And at the end, you will have a group called designer. When you add a picture or you add many types of things that you will see in the next few slides, you will have nicer layouts that are suggested. So it can be used as a title slide. It can be used with various types of content. So if we take a look, you will have designer offering you design ideas for, let's say, one image. This example is with a Microsoft supplied templates. But what's nice is we've had improvements since last June, depending on how you are updated with your Office 365. You might still be waiting for it, but now you can also use your custom template. So the corporations that do have custom templates do have design ideas that are provided to the users, but they are on template. So they will not be providing layouts that are not with your color scheme, that are not according to what you already have in there. So that's a big plus, because depending on the content that you have in there, you might have interesting ideas to help your user create presentations more quickly. And the example here, it shows that you can have multiple pictures in there. What's nice, we had a limit of 3 to 4 pictures at one time, and I tested it with 6 pictures lately, and it works perfectly. So that still is improving as they continue to improve the software. Design ideas, you can now put lists on your page, and when you prompt it, you can end up with something like this. What it does actually is that the AI is looking at the words that you have on your slide to show you and pop some icons in there that are relevant to your content. So instead of having the usual boring PowerPoint list that people are now drudging all the time, you can have some visuals that go with it. Another type of idea, which is really nice, if you have a timeline, it's something that was not always easy to put together graphically. So you just put it as a list, and then PowerPoint will show you some variations of timelines that you can use, and it will be according to what you had in your color scheme of your presentation, so you can pick and choose and have some very nice designs. Of course, design ideas, you can have them with charts. This is an example, not the best, but when you put in some charts, if it makes sense, then you would have some ideas that you can pick from. Another example that will bring in that AI power, you have some words in there about dogs and cats and what goes on with it. So then again, it can show you some icons that are really related. So instead of having just a basic list, now you have the icons. Of course, in this example, now we see that cut clause, we have a scissor. What we would do is that we would just replace the icon, so we would get something more relevant, because we have our pets in the first two examples, then we would have the bird for this one. So as far as designer goes, it's really straightforward. As long as you have it available, that your connected services are on, then it will pop in and you'll be able to have some ideas to help you create your presentations. And by the way, Garland, if you do have any questions while we go through this, just let me know and we'll be able to have a look at them and make sure that we answer them. But we'll do all the demoing live afterwards, so I'm more than happy to answer even more questions there.
Thanks, Chantal. I'll mention if you could put your questions in the chat area, then Chantal can see them, or I can tell her when they're there. So.
Okay, so translation right now. In terms of translation, if you go in your review tab, you will have the translate button. What is nice is that you can do it for portions of text or text boxes, which then will help you just change some of the information that you have. And an extra pane, as you see on the right here, it detects the language that you have, and you can choose whatever the languages are available in there, and the list is pretty long, so you can do the translation. And I can tell you, especially having my first language as French, the tool has improved tremendously in the past maybe 6 months, because sometimes it was a little bit choppy, not always on target, and it's getting better and better all the time. I also have to talk about one of the tools I like a lot, which is Presentation Translator. It is an add-in that you can download. And again, you'll have the link here to the site, so you can download it if you want to try it. It's a free add-in. It was built by Microsoft Garage, which it's a place where they test and do research, but now it's been promoted, so to speak, because they've been tested the add-in for a while, and people really liked what they saw, liked what they were able to play with. So that add-in, what it does is you have an extra feature. It isn't a slideshow tab, but it adds the possibility to translate a whole presentation. And for me, working in 2 languages all the time, I must say it's a real time saver. So we'll see, I'll demo it, how it works. It's really easy, a couple of clicks, the translation is done. And the only thing you do need to do is have a review for adaptation and making sure that the meaning of the words are still the same in the language that you translated in. So it saves a big step in terms of time and manpower, because then you can just have it machine translated and have someone review it afterwards.
Chantal, Dawn had a question.
Yes.
Saying, would you please share your slides with us afterwards too? So Dawn, we are recording this, and so with Chantal's permission, we will send a link to the video recording out, but I think yes, Chantal is also providing some sort of a handout as well. So.
And in the PDF, all the important slides that are there, some of them I just kind of matched together when it was the before after example, but all the screen captures that you have right now are in the handout too, so to make sure that you can just go back to it easily. So that's okay? Okay, good. Oh, hold on. I think I do have some more questions. So that's good. I think so far so good. So if I missed anything, Garland, just let me know. So that was for the translation part of it. I am sure that you can realize how precious it is if you have to work in more than one language, or if you have to work in various languages in your organization, because it gives you the chance to make the changes by the power of artificial intelligence to quickly have access to brand new content that just needs adaptation. So the third part is the live subtitling. And for this one, I'm giving you a little bit more details and links so you can see how it works. And I'm planning on having a little fun with you when we do the demo, and so I'm sure we'll have some fun, and let's hope that everything goes well when we demo it live. So the live subtitling, it's again, the translation part of it. Presentation Translator is now in two parts. You have it from within PowerPoint because they have upgraded Office 365 to have the translator part, the captions and subtitles available from within with more powerful tools than they had before. And of course, we do have, again, the presentation translator, which brings an extra twist to it. So the way it looks like when you go again in slideshow, you will have, first of all, a group that is called Captions and Subtitles. This is the native Office 365 feature, but you can choose to have the subtitles always on, and you do have some settings that you can work with. If you install the add-in, as I did on my own machine, then you will have a start button, and you can also choose to have that little check mark for always present with subtitles. And of course, the translate slides that we've seen before. It's in slideshow, it's a little bit awkward to have it there, but at least it works and we know it's there. So that's the add-in feature. The native feature, when we go in subtitles settings, this is where you will set your spoken language, the language of the subtitles. So I could leave it in French Canada and I have the subtitles in English, so all the people will see the subtitles in English. You will need to choose your microphone, and this is really, really nice. The developers have done a great job at listening to feedback about the positioning of the captions and the subtitles. You have the bottom, the top, but they're overlaid on your slides. That part might be a little bit tricky if you have slides that have content right up to the borders. So you might have a difficulty to see all the content and all the subtitles at the same time. You have below slide and above slide. Those two features are really, really nice because depending on the room setting, then you can make sure that everyone will be able to see the subtitles. Personally, I like the above the slide, especially if I'm in a room that at the bottom of the screen, you can have some heads and then people will try to figure, well, what are the subtitles? They cannot see them properly. So keep that in mind when you're using the subtitles, but all these positionings are really, really nice. And you do have more settings that are with Windows. It's really if you want to change the font of your subtitles, if you want to put a semi-transparent background. So I'll be able to show it to you because I do have it on my Windows machine, but it will be in French. So we might just skim a little bit through it, but at least you'll see it. When you use that and you're in presenter view, you have the possibility to start or stop your captions from here, your subtitles. But with the three dots that you have here, subtitle settings, you have more settings. And you could, during your presentation, change the positioning of your subtitles. You could change the language too if you want. And then you have your microphones and the other Windows settings. But you do have an extra access to the settings even while you present. Now, if you use the translator, and I do have both on my machine, so let's see the difference, what happens. When you click that Start Subtitles, now you get the window that will ask you to decide what language you're speaking, what subtitle language that you want. The customized speech recognition, if you have content in English, you can use that, and the machine will learn from the content in your slides to make sure that if you have any, let's call it techno jargon, anything that pertains to a specific industry, then it will learn from that to make sure that the subtitles will be rendered properly on the screen. When you then click additional settings, you do have possibility to put in your name. the positioning of the subtitles are only two places. It's really below the slides or over the slides. What you can do is, if you have both on your machine, you could decide that you won't be using that checkbox because you want to use the positioning of the native feature. If that's the case, that's okay. But there's a caveat, and we'll see what happens if you decide that you want to use the add-in because you want to do Q&A with the audience and you want the audience to see in various languages. What is very nice over here is the add instructional slide that actually gives a chance to people to get this slide, which means that they do have a QR code, or they can go to that site. I'll show you the site live. I did find something interesting. Microsoft is always pulling some nice tricks on us, and now I see that they just launched a new app, and when I go to translate.it, I get only a French version of the page, but it will still work, and we'll figure out all the other little details. But besides that, what's really interesting, you also get that extra little bar over here that you can decide if you want to show or hide your subtitles. You have the extra settings, and you can mute and unmute audience. That's when you get the chance to have a real discussion with your audience. People can use their phones. They can just message by the phone, or they can even talk to the microphone of their phones. So it allows for a multi-language Q&A, because if they're using it with a different language, then it will render all the questions with the language that you chose for your subtitles.
Chantal, we did have a question, if you want to take one.
Yeah.
Question from N. Callan says, if you create a presentation with subtitles or translator on a PC with Office 365 on it, will this work if the presentation is being presented without Office 365?
No, because it is requiring the intelligent services, a live connection to the internet, and the feature, you need to have the feature. Hold on. You said, can you present it? It's really a feature that needs to be on the computer. So yes, you could install Translator with Office 2016 and Office 2019. That would be possible. But if it's not installed there, you won't get the extra feature. So you need that extra step to install the add-in. I almost messed up my answer, but yes, you do need to install the add-in. And at the latest information I saw, it was really compatible 2016, 2019. I would have to check, though, if older versions are still possible.
Thank you.
Okay. So that is the page that people used to have, and now I will need, with that new thing that popped up probably maybe yesterday or just a couple of days ago, it's another application that they can have on their phone. But it's the QR code still goes to a page like that, where they can just put in the code for the conversation, their name, and they choose their language. The nice benefit of having the add-in, the translator or the presentation translator add-in, is this nifty little thing, save transcript. When you close your presentation, all the subtitles will be in that window right here that you have at the bottom, and you can actually save the transcripts. So people that need to have a hard copy of the transcripts can save a lot of time if they just use Translator for that, if they want. They could do voiceovers for their presentations and still have the transcripts afterwards. So it's an added benefit that is not only good for people that need to have subtitles live during a presentation. So that concludes really the just the presentation part of it. But I wanted to have time to show you live how it works. So let's just drop out of here and then we'll go to, okay, let's start with this. We'll just go back to Designer because I want to show you how it works. If you add a picture and then you go into your Design tab, Design Ideas, when you click on it, you bring back that little panel. Let's just open it. I'm having trouble. Cannot resize it. Oh well. When you look into it, you have all these different layouts that help you choose the way it will look better for what you have to say for that slide. On this slide, as you can see, I popped in multiple pictures. I chose online pictures, as a matter of fact. Let's say we choose this one. Now you have 6 pictures, and because they were online, they do have those little copyright information for the source. I would advise that they should stay there unless it's really a huge problem, especially if you're just using those online pictures. But if you're using your own pictures, then you would have various layouts. Let's try this one. So with one click, as you can see, they kind of drop down the copyright information at the bottom. We don't see them as much, but you now have those little bubbles. You have one in the background. So people that say that they are design challenged, they don't need to be scared anymore. They just need to leverage the design ideas that powers Office 365 right now. And of course, you do need an internet connection because they say it's connected services. They need to connect the data with the internet to make sure that they can give you some ideas. So it will render the information that you want to have on your slide properly.
Chantal, there was one other question that came up on the translator.
Oh, that's okay. And I'm having a hard time seeing the questions. I'm so sorry.
No problem. And it says, and Melody Davis wrote it, and I'm not sure if it was in regards to the previous question about being able to, present if it wasn't Office 365, but she says, and this is only in the translator add-in and not the other one, right? Because I think there's 2 translation ones, right?
Yes. Yes. So translator add-in. And what I can do, let's just pop this in here. The translation add-in, the translator add-in, sorry. Let's go back here. What it does is that you do have the extra features that will allow you to have that QR code, making sure that you can also have audience participation for Q&A, or if they need to send anything else, you can have them communicate with you. So that's a translator add-in.
Melody did send a clarification. She was talking about being able to save the transcript, I guess is what she was wondering
yes,
about.
Absolutely. And I'll demo the save the transcript too, because I will jump in and do the live caption, the live subtitling also, and we'll hope for the best because, it's technology. We'll see how that works, but I'll show how it saves a text file. It's pretty awesome.
And Melody's saying, do you run into any issues having multiple add-ins running the same time, like slowness or anything?
I must say that so far, so good. Of course, we know that having multiple add-ins can sometimes be a problem, or sometimes it won't be slowing down things, but then you'll get an update and for an unknown reason, you have some glitches in there. I don't have tons of add-ins, and especially this one, Translator, it's been produced by Microsoft. So finally, it's probably not as dangerous to have various lag issues. But of course, especially since we're talking about translation that requires a web connection, you could experience lags. Let's say if your internet connection is not good, if your microphone is not good, you should have a microphone. A headset should be probably used first when you have the chance to make sure that it's as close as possible to your mouth. And when we do subtitles live, we have to get into the habit of speaking a little bit slower and making sure we articulate properly and have some pauses to give the chance to send the text to the cloud. So we send the voice to the cloud. It's managed there, then pushed back as text in the subtitles. It's done in a fraction of a second, but at the same time, we're always at the mercy of internet connections. Or if you have a laptop or computer that is really bloated, yeah, temp files that haven't been cleared for a while, your junk, all the junk that you have in there, temp files, defrag, and stuff like that. I must say those basic cleanup things should be done if you plan on using the subtitles on a regular basis, making sure that the machine has enough breathing space in terms of memory, because it could cause a lag. Any more questions about that? I'm trying to pop those questions again. Here we go.
No, I think we've answered them all. So.
Okay, good.
And it was interesting to see what you did with the bird pictures there, because that's really improved. It used to be whenever I would add multiple pictures to the design ideas would just kind of freeze up. But now it,
yes, and
much
as you can see, this one I'm up to 6, and it does a very beautiful job at, and it's pretty quick. So it is improving. Oh, I haven't seen this one before. I haven't looked at the bottom of my list. So it is improving. It has improved a lot, and it will keep improving, because that's the beauty of having an ongoing improvement with Office 365. Simple example, if we get back quickly to Designer, that you could just add a smart art and it will give you some other designs that go with it. This one, the way it looks like, you have a bullet point list, simple title. Look at what it can look like in one click. And look at those icons. Regular grooming, that looks nice. Bath, looks like a soap. Brushing, teeth cleaning. Brushing in this case wouldn't mean teeth brushing, but you can always just click and go back to the icons, and you could see all icons and change it. You could just remove the icons and have those big rectangles, rounded rectangles. There's this one. So as you can see, it is a powerhouse of design ideas, but you can just go in there and choose whatever makes sense. This one I'm putting here because for me, I'm having a hard time to replicate, and it might have something because my system is basically in French to start with, but they added a couple of months ago what they call designer perspective. So when you have something with big numbers in there, you could have some interesting, either a picture of a plane that pops in, and even Microsoft, when they advertised it, they mentioned, okay, if we say that Afghanistan has that a couple of hundred square kilometers of territory, then they could add the perspective that, oh, it's about the size of Texas, for example. So I'm telling you about it, but as you can see, it's not popping me anything really interesting right now. So it is there, but basically it will be more efficient if your system is all in English. Translation-wise, let's say we have this. We click on the review. Let's go here, translate. It works, detected French. You can go in the list, and what you have here are all the languages that are supported, which means that it's really easy to find whatever suits your need. you have what you want, you say insert, it's been changed. So if you have only a couple of words, a sentence, a text box, you can use it with this little translation pane. The other way to do it is then you will go in slideshow, translate slides. Again, you set the language that you have. You want to translate it to English, translate slides. Look what it does, _EN for language. I can say save. It says replace. I made sure I had another one. Okay, well, as you can see right now, doesn't want to do it. So it's an online service, which means that sometimes it could be working perfectly. And what I'll do no, let's cancel this. I'll just show you the other slide. Okay, look at this one. It has _EN. So right now, all my slides have been machine translated. And the reason I put some smart art and graphics in there, look at what happens. All the labels you will have to translate by hand. Right now, and it's the same for smart art, it's not translated, or any grouped items are not considered for translation. But it still saves a lot of time not having to go slide by slide, element by element. So if you do have a couple of graphics and smart arts, you'll have to take a little bit more time to do it. But if not, then you'll have most of your job already done. Okay, and now let's go with the subtitles. Let's use this, and I'll show you how to set it up. So we're in slideshow, and we'll use the native application. So if I say that I want to use the subtitles, I could say always, subtitles settings, I will speak in English. Okay, do I trick you guys and just put maybe French as subtitles just to be a little bit funny? And let's put it above the slide. And I'll show you, well, more settings for Windows. As mentioned, to have those, you need Windows 10. You then go into your settings of Windows 10, which are in French on my machine. But here you have a little view of what it looks like if you decide that you want to change the color. If I put this, not this one, let's say blue. So you can change the color. By default, it will just use the biggest contrast it can. If you want them semi-transparent, the styles that you want to use, these, I'll let you look at your own settings. It will be quicker than having me translate you all the details that we have in there. But that's where it brings you when you click on the settings and more settings in Windows. So if I click, and let's just not use presenter view, and I'll just change the setting to make sure that you still see it in the webinar. I'll just start the presentation. And right now, when we start, you usually have listening. You had that little listening at the bottom, and now you have the subtitle at the top, and it's translated in French as I speak to you. So that's how you can make your presentation more accessible, and people that have hearing difficulties will be able to follow. Or if you're in a setting that you have people that speak multiple languages, you could set up your presentation in your main language and have various computers. It is a more technical setup if you want to have various languages, but it is still doable. So then you can have the subtitles in the language that you need. So that is the native one. Maybe I can show you, let's use the presenter view. I'll start it again, and I'll swap the settings. This is what it looks like. So right now, you see on the thumbnail, we do have the subtitles. I could stop the subtitles with this little feature, or I could come back here, subtitles. Then I could say, okay, I want them below the slide. And then it's changed. People just see that it's been swapped, and you can keep changing. And the more settings, it's really if you need to change the language. Let's say I go back to English. I say, okay. And right now it's listening again. And now you have the subtitles, and I'll just swap this. Let's swap this. So now you have the subtitles in English while I am speaking in English. That was the native one. Now let's have fun with the Microsoft Translator. I will leave this one. I will leave this one here. So I show you what happens. Let's say start. I'll leave it English, English. I won't go into here for now, additional settings. I'll show them below the slides for now. Add the instructional slide, close, start subtitles. As you can see, you now have the instructional slide. It will stay there until you start your presentation. And see what happens now. I left my native application, the live captions on. So we have the subtitles there, and we have the one from Translator. What I will do, I'll leave it on as we speak right now. And what I'd like people to do on the call, on the webinar, go to translate.it and put in that code, LZAPU. And I'll go in here, make sure that people are unmuted. And if anyone wants to send a question, and I'll just click, so we start the presentation. Is anyone able to go to that page? And maybe what I can do.
Might take them a moment or two.
That's right. And that's okay, because if we can make this work, people will see how interesting it can be. And as we keep talking, or as I keep talking right now, we will get the last part, which is I want to show you how to save your transcripts. And by the way, people can download an app on their phone. They don't have to go to translate.it. Although I must say that sometimes it might not be as convenient. And I just realized, let's just go back one slide so you have the code again. If you download the app, it will be quite easy for people to do. Although if you wait for them to download the app while you're presenting, it might not be as convenient. So that's why the website might be interesting, but it is still interesting. I need to figure out that new application that seems to be, that has been launched very recently.
So one of them says that she's got it, Tara. Do you want me to have Tara talk?
She could talk to her phone.
Okay.
Or she could also just type in her question. So just making sure, unmute the audience. Here we go. So if anyone wants to type, hi Tara. Holding down the space, okay. No, we see the text. What you are saying is translated as text. So now it's popping up on the screen. Hi, Gary. It is very cool. Melody, hi. As you can see, depending on my pronunciation, it doesn't always render properly, but it is getting there. So as you can see, we can now have people with various languages do a Q&A, or what I like about that application is also, yeah, Melody, I guess it is easier to type. I haven't tried the voice recording part yet. I typed it. But what is really interesting about this, if you're with an audience that sometimes people might be just too shy to ask questions, having them use their phones might be a way to have better communications with them. So it's a totally new way to do this. So I'll just drop out of here. And again, I could stop the captions from my presenter view, which is still on. Let's just, no, I won't stop this. Instead of stopping, we'll just continue. I have my 3 slides. I'm at the end. That's what I want to show. This is what you'll get at the end of your presentation. And this is where you have save transcript. So if you save it, it has a long name. I'll just leave it as it is. It's a text file, save. And I'll go open it. And let's just slide this. This is what you have. And people that need to do captions might really appreciate that, because usually if you want to have captions for a PowerPoint file that you want to make available with the captions for, let's say, YouTube, or you need to have it with captions for a specific event or in the video afterwards, now you have the timings in there and you have all the information and all the text. You might have a little bit of editing to do depending on how the pronunciation was done, if it was done with a proper microphone. Or I realized that sometimes I was speaking a little bit too fast when it was on, so it was not rendering properly. But now you do have the possibility to save your transcripts. So as you can see, AI now is a very, very powerful tool, because you do get the possibility to have, let's just bring this one back here. You have the possibility to make better designs, translate your information, and use the live subtitles for more than one means. It's not only for accessibility, but it could be for audiences that do have different mother tongues and you're not sure they will understand. So I do hope that I triggered at least a little bit of curiosity to try those new features, leverage them to make your content a little bit better, and sometimes a whole lot better, and move your content towards having more accessible and inclusive content. So I do hope you did enjoy, and if you do have any more questions, I know I'm a little bit early, but I'd rather be early, leave time for more questions than being at the last minute and you don't have time to ask your questions.
Fantastic, Chantal. That was really intriguing. The whole idea of using a phone in people's hands to provide feedback or ask questions where they might be more anonymous instead of having to speak is really intriguing to me, because as you say, some people might be shy about that. I wonder if you could couple that with polling and stuff like that. There could be some really fun ways to work with that. So there is a question here. Would the transcript feature work if you played a YouTube video in PowerPoint?
Well, it needs to record your voice. So if you have the microphone very near the speaker, because you have sound on your speaker, it should technically pick it up. Although it does mean that it's an extra layer of difficulty to grasp all the pronunciation. So if your video has voice and you have background music, you might get a couple of words that are okay, but you might still have some problems. But the way to capture the voice is really having the microphone as close as possible to your mouth. That's how the subtitles are pushed out there. So having the video, you might not have them. Maybe what you could consider is put your video in there with captions already. So it would mean probably using YouTube, adding those captions in there, and then you just export it as a video again and make sure that you put it in your PowerPoint. It should be made, let's say, accessible with the captions before, if you want to make sure that while you are using the subtitles, the video remains accessible, because it's not a given that you'll be able to have it grasped by your microphone.
So I have a question myself.
Yes.
So I find that sometimes the design ideas just doesn't seem to throw anything up. Like it just says right now we can't show any for it. I have found one thing that sometimes helps is closing and reopening the presentation. For some reason it seems to get stuck. But it seems to have trouble if I'm doing things with lots of text boxes or something. Any suggestions for how to format a slide to give it the best chance of working with the design ideas?
Yes, if you want to have it work most of the time with the design ideas, our designer is to use most of the regular layouts. The closest you are to using the layouts that are already in PowerPoint, the better it is at giving you some design ideas with it. It's not always very good when you have a lot of text boxes. You are right. Your experience with that is not the best, because it will be able to grasp the regular placeholders a whole lot better than whatever else that you have on your slide. So that might be my best tip. The more that you can start with the regular layouts and then you add in, or if you're only using pictures, for example, you can start with a blank slide. It's really not a problem, because PowerPoint is doing an excellent job with pictures and the design ideas with it. But some of the other elements, if they're not actual placeholders, it might be a little bit more difficult.
I know I was very impressed when it started to add icons to my bullet points. That was to me a revelation, because bullet points are so annoying, and the icons were just fantastic. It does still seem to struggle a bit sometimes when I try to do a 2-column bullet point format, which I don't use that much, but it seems to struggle there a bit.
I haven't tried it, to be honest, but it is possible. I guess that will be part of all the machine learning and all the improvements that will be upcoming. But already, from what it was when it all started to what it is right now, it's a huge difference, because it grasps a whole lot more of elements to make them look good on the slide. And just having Designer now compatible with corporate templates and making sure that they stay on brand, that's a big thing, because it was not a feature that all the corporations really enjoyed. They said, well, people will stop staying on brand because they'll have all those funky design ideas in there. But now if you have a corporate template, the designer will work with the corporate template that you have, and it will add an extra twist to it, but it will look like it comes from the same company.
So does anybody else have any other questions for Chantal?
And what I can do, I'll just drop out of here, and now I'll be able, I can put in right now the link. Let's see, I'll go grab this. So if people want to grab, it's just a SharePoint folder in which I have a PDF file that you can grab in there. So you can click and have it in there. And also Garland will have a copy. And you said you were going to send it out by email, I think, right?
Yes, so we'll be doing a video of this, and we will put that on our YouTube channel, but we will also send it out to all the participants by email, a link to it so they can access it. And I can also include the link that you just gave me, Chantal, as well. So.
Perfect. So, and anyone, if you do have any questions, don't hesitate, just reach out, connect with me. I'm really, I'm an easygoing person, easily accessible online. So if you have anything, just reach out.
And Iodasia raised hand. Could you put your question in the comment area, as the chat area? Sorry. Somebody raised their hand thinking maybe that was how they ask questions.
Yes. If you look, you should have a link. Oh, I sent it to the panelists, did I? Hold on. Let's do this again.
We went to the panelists. So.
Okay. Panelists and attendees.
That'll work.
2. So everyone should see a link right now in the chat box. You can just go grab the PDF from there. And Garland will also have the PDF available for sending out through email to all the people that registered for the conference.
Okay, getting some feedback. So if nobody else has any other questions, we can end this for now.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here, Chantal. That was fantastic. I had no idea the translation was getting that fast and live, that you could have multiple languages in a room and do a presentation, and people would have tools to be able to do that.
Yeah.
That is just amazing to me. I really have been enjoying the new design features. Those are brilliant. Especially I love the fact that it gets the icons mainly right, that it was able to find the cat for the cat and the dog for the dog, and
yes.
airplanes for travel. I mean, those are just brilliant that it's doing that. So yeah, these are very timely to know about. And it's improved a lot. Like I've noticed the change since I first started using it, that it's so much better now that I think even
it's improved a lot also because if we just have a quick look at the icons, look at all that you have in there right now. The list is so much longer than it was when they started. So they're making new ones available on a regular basis, as I gather, because right now we have more and more, which makes it a whole lot easier for designer to have something to grab that is relevant to the text that you had on your slide.
And of course, we can grab any of these if we don't like the one designer's chosen for us. So, which I have changed,
we just change it. Yes, because changing it, sometimes it's probably not pushing the message that you want, so you can change it and make sure it is even more relevant to the message that you have.
And I think the color matching was like automatic or really easy on it too. So it's not like it's just a brilliant system for that. So
yeah, it might not be perfect, but geez, it makes our lives a whole lot easier than it was before making right presentations.
It really does.